Good morning. It's Monday, October 24th. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Up to the Minute. I'm Sharday Campbell, Strategic Enrollment Communications Manager here at Houston Community College. Pleased to be joined on this good Monday by my co-host today, Dr. Amy Tan, who is the Dean of HCC's English and Communications Department. And she's going to tell everyone how to find Up to the Minute online.
Good morning. Yes, please join us. We are live on the Houston Community College District Facebook page, not HCC, and YouTube. We're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and on HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. That's Monday through Friday.
Well, happy Monday, Amy. Can you believe it's almost November? Like we blinked.
No, I reject that. But hey, go Astros.
Absolutely. How did we not kick off? I should have worn some blue and orange. Well, today we're going to dive into some hot topics of logistics and supply chain management. It is hot as we approach this holiday season and you expect those packages to get to you. And we're going to be chatting with one of our own program coordinators, Kimberly Fondren, who is the program coordinator of logistics. Good morning, Kimberly.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. Amy will be with you later on. But first, for Mental Health Monday, our regular guest from HCC Counseling returns to talk about a sensitive subject for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Joining us today is Roxanne Francis, who is a counselor at our HCC Southwest campuses. Welcome back to the show, Roxanne.
Thank you, Sade. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, it's not a fun topic, but we cannot close our eyes to it. And I brought up earlier as we approach the holidays. Holidays are a stressful time. And I think this is an important topic. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is in October. So as we wrap out October, let's begin with some warning signs that we can look for that someone may be in a domestic violence relationship or situation.
Yes, so definitely some warning signs that we want to look out for at all times would be if you have a friend, family member, loved one, and maybe if they're secluding themselves, maybe if they have a partner that's having them seclude themselves, definitely if they're spending a lot of time focusing on trying to make that partner happy. And, you know, maybe if there are a lot of arguments and they really are just stressing over how to really make that partner comfortable, or even noticing different patterns and behaviors out of that friend or loved one. If when you're in company with your friend and that loved one, where there's a situation where you find that they're jumping when that partner is talking, or they don't really want to ever overspeak that partner. Just noticing body language. And the most obvious, noticing bruises, marks, those types of things as well. One other thing that I always like to mention, because I don't feel like we, being society, we don't talk about it enough, but just recognizing how important it is to notice that in our males as well. So males definitely suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse as well. So just making sure that we recognize not only those symptoms and things to kind of look out for and signs in our female friends, loved ones, partners, but also looking for those things in our male friends, family, and loved ones as well.
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. And October is LGBTQ History Month in all relationships. It's something to look out for, not because you mentioned males, but I'm just saying in general. In addition, yes, we need to be looking at it in all relationships. And you mentioned something about isolation, which I would think would be something to identify, easier to identify during the holidays, when you notice that maybe that one family member isn't coming to those family gatherings. What's your advice for maybe in engaging, but keeping someone safe, or trying to bring them out of isolation or create space for them to not get sucked in to the isolation that they're being drawn into?
So I've mentioned this actually on another segment before, not only with the domestic violence, but even with the holidays, as you mentioned, could it be something where, maybe if they're falling into a depression, just anything kind of going on. And so definitely being there, and maybe even being just a tad bit aggressive in your approach with them, because let's just say with the domestic violence situation, more times than not, that partner is going to tell your loved one, oh, no, you don't need to go with so-and-so, or no, I want you to stay here, or, why are you trying to go out? Are you trying to cheat on me? Those types of things, some of that manipulative behavior in language, right? And so just being really aggressive in your approach, you know what, you didn't come to the last family gathering. I'm just going to come to your house so we can go and have coffee. I'll be there at 3, those types of things. And just being a tad bit more aggressive in your approach. Because if you notice that loved one is already secluding themselves and staying away, they're probably going to decline and offer to meet for coffee or meet for lunch, brunch, something like that. So you just kind of being in that driver's seat as someone that cares and just kind of taking over and say, you know what, I'm just going to be at your house and I'll drive. And just not really giving them an excuse to decline the offer for you to meet and touch base with them.
And I think you touched on that actually touched on my next question. If you suspect someone is, being hurt or in a situation, or do you have any other tips outside of what you shared?
Absolutely. Always feel free to call 911, call law enforcement, get them involved. As much as we love our loved ones and we want to be there for them above and beyond, it's really important to know that we can also put ourselves in danger by trying to intervene. So call law enforcement. Definitely if you hadn't heard from that loved one, if they call you crying, just any of those things, call law enforcement, get them involved. Definitely, because we want to make sure that we're safe as well. Far too often, we've seen, not only in domestic violence situations, but in different situations, someone trying to intervene, and unfortunately, they may get hurt or even lose their life as well, trying to help someone else out.
Absolutely. And you talked about how family members can identify and get involved because, of course, they have the most connection to those who are suffering. But what kind of signs can educators, faculty members, staff members, what can we look out for?
Definitely. So what you can look out for, if you notice changes in the student, the way that they're presenting at school, maybe if they're kind of well kept, not disheveled, those types of things, you start to see a change in the way that they present in class. Even sometimes they may present and write it in a paper or a presentation or something that they have to turn in. And so definitely looking out for that as well. Another sign may be if you notice a change in their attendance. If you have a student that's typically pretty prompt and they come to class, and then you start to notice that they're missing class, or even the reverse of that. You have a student that's missing class, maybe not really giving a reason, or they're giving a reason and, it always seems to stem back to something at home. Being proactive and looking into that, because you just never know what may be going on with that student.
Absolutely. And you definitely mentioned getting law enforcement involved to protect yourself, because a lot of times you can become an innocent bystander in something. But what other resources are available in these situations?
We have several local organizations that help specifically with domestic violence victims. One thing to keep in mind is even if that family, friend, loved one, peer, classmate, even if they don't really seem ready to leave that situation, that happens often, just providing the information. And one of the resources that we use pretty frequently here in our counseling department is the Houston Area Women's Center. And just saying, I still have this information for you. I have the number for you. If you're afraid to put it in your phone, because your partner may look at it, I have it in my phone, just in case you don't want to put it in your phone. So that's one of the more common ones. But we have several organizations throughout the Houston and surrounding area that are there, and they specialize in helping individuals in domestic violence situations.
And as we wrap out, I think we definitely focus on those who are in crisis and looking at the signs. But what about those that are recovering from domestic abuse? What should they be keeping an eye? What should they be focusing on in their recovery as a reminder during this month?
It's funny because some of those that are recovering from domestic violence situations tend to be the best peers and the best supports for those that are in the situations or newly coming out of the situations. And so a lot of times they can be the biggest support and the biggest help for those that are either in a situation or coming out of a domestic violence situation. I've seen where victims or previous victims of domestic violence have actually stayed with the organization that helped them work through, and then they become mentors to others. So that can be a really big help. Another thing is just seeing that, okay, that victim saying, okay, I'm not the only one going through this. If this person could get out of that situation, so could I. And so just seeing that there is hope for a better life to get out of that abusive situation.
I think, leaving off that there is hope, I think that is a perfect a way to kind of wrap things out. There's hope. It's worth trying getting out. It's worth connecting to those resources. And it's also a good reminder for our faculty and staff around how they can help, but also their responsibility as mandatory reporters. Of course, we're wrapping out our mandatory training here at HCC as a reminder around that. So definitely we were remiss if we didn't include that. But Roxanne, we appreciate you bringing your wealth of knowledge and resources to connect with our faculty, staff, and up to the minute community.
Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us. Roxanne is a reoccurring guest and Southwest counselor at our Southwest campuses. And we will have information posted after the show about everything that we just discussed. Thanks so much for joining us, Roxanne.
Thank you so much for having me, Sade. Have a wonderful day.
You too. All right, Amy, I am going to kick it over to you.
Thank you, Sade, and thanks for that wonderful interview with Roxanne. Wonderful information to share with our viewers. So we are moving on to Kimberly Fondren, Logistics Program Coordinator of the HCC Business Center of Excellence. Welcome to the show, Kimberly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to hearing all about the latest with the logistics program at HCC. First, we want to extend our condolences on the passing of a friend of Up to the Minute, James Baptiste, who was a professor of global supply chain logistics, was a guest of the show, and we're sorry to hear this news.
Yeah, it was a very big blow to our department, to HCC. We miss him dearly.
Irreplaceable.
Truly.
Well, let's start with you briefly describing HCC's Logistics Center of Excellence.
So our Logistics Center of Excellence, we're, thanks to COVID and the impact that it's had on our global business and supply chain, we've been getting a lot of interest and we're very busy. As you know, like logistics traditionally has been all about, what is it about transportation and delivery, storage, packaging, cargo handling, even information processing, and how does it all flow together and essentially link up into a chain to make things happen. It's all about the daily workings of a business to get goods delivered from a manufacturing site to the end user. And that's what we're all about in terms of a program, is helping students to learn about that and understand so that they can go out into the workforce and help businesses optimize their operations.
And what are the employment opportunities in logistics here in Houston?
Oh, there are a ton of employment opportunities. There's over, 3,000 distribution and storage management jobs alone in the logistics and supply chain industry. And then that doesn't count your countless coordinator positions, cargo agents, import-export businesses, you name it. If it basically requires execution of an operation, that's where they need a logistics professional to step in and help make sure that everything continues to run smoothly. And if it doesn't, they need to troubleshoot it and hopefully have a plan B and C already worked out to just keep things running smoothly.
Well, and I think because of the pandemic, many of us understand now why logistics is so important. Can you briefly describe your curriculum? Because I know you have a lot of degrees and certificates.
We do. Biggest thing is that you got to understand that a logistics professional, I tell my students all the time that logistics professionals are jacks of all trades, and we're master troubleshooters. We are solution creators, and we're masters at optimizing operations. So our curriculum is all about learning about the different facets of a company, how they connect together and how they affect each other. And essentially not just make the company money, but kind of really keep our economy running, right? Like this is kind of what we learned about COVID, manufacturing stops over here. It really affects everything else down the line, especially means that you're not going to see the goods on the shelves of the grocery stores that you're used to seeing that, before seemed to just, magically always be available. We also have, technology has been a huge emergence in logistics lately. And so our program also helps students understand the different types of technology that are out there that involve logistics, including autonomous intelligence, customer resource management tools, blockchain, data analytics. I mean, the market these days, you'll say that managers, they need to make their decisions based off data. Everything's data driven. So logistics is affected by that as well. It goes into warehouse management systems, inventory management, everything. So as a program, that's what we strive to impress upon students, is tell them what's out there and give them some exposure to these technologies, to this software, so that they can go in, hit the ground running for companies.
Excellent. And so I know you have an associate in AAS that's also online. Mm-hmm. You have maritime transportation. There's a hybrid option for logistics specialization. And you also have a level 1 certificate. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, our program is stackable, so you can kind of choose what kind of time you have to start in our program. If you're not quite sure that you can commit, say, 2 years to an AAS degree, start with our certificate program. Get your feet wet with that. And, anything you take in the certificate program can then apply to the associate's degree if you choose to go further.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about how logistics courses help our students become job ready.
So our courses are all designed for students to be able to go right into the workforce. At the end of towards the end of the associate's degree program, students are asked to do an internship with a company, preferably a logistics company. But the truth is that logistics is everywhere in every company. It's pretty mission critical. So the idea is that you are going to get on-the-job training, hopefully somewhere in the career that you want to embark on in logistics. And that's what we encourage students to do. We have a great relationship with the HCC Career Services Group, who work hand in hand with us to help students find internship opportunities, part-time jobs, or even full-time jobs if they have the time while going to school to take on a job. But it is, thankfully, your work and your on-the-job training also applies to our program. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. It's a win-win for everyone. It gets you that work experience to put on your resume, but it also gets you that academic credit.
Sounds amazing. So can we have time for about one more question? So I'm sort of going to combine a couple of these. If you, I'm interested to hear about the Department of Labor Grant Apprenticeship and also the Texas Workforce Solution. Can you tell us a little bit about both of those?
So yes, so the beauty of our program is that the state of Texas actually and the federal government actually provide funding for students to get paying internships and or paying apprenticeships. So you don't have to do these internships for free. You can we can go to employers and say, look, please give our students a job so they can get on the job training and experience and exposure. And the paycheck's not going to be the barrier of entry for these internships. So we can work with the companies to say, hey, we'll get the funding for a paycheck to help pay the student for the internship if you will just give them access to your operations.
That's a wonderful example of how we collaborate with our community and our industry partners. And so what I'm hearing is that there's a high demand and that these are high paying jobs. And we really appreciate your coming on the show. So thank you, Kimberly Fondren, Logistics Program Coordinator of the HCC Business Center of Excellence. We'll have all your info in our post after the show.
Thank you so much.
And back to you, Sade.
Well, back to us, Amy.
That's right.
We're about to kick off our news, events, and announcements as we always wrap out our up-to-the-minute episodes. So kicking things off, a reminder of the opportunity to become a civic trustee, the leadership in practical problem solving community learning opportunity is offering a 8-week online workshop to help such civic duty lessons as no blame practical problem solving, government decision making, and city leadership roles without running for office. I think this is a great lead into just understanding processes, even if you aren't in government. These are happening 9 a.m. to noon Mondays through December 12th, all virtual. Information will be posted after the show. And Amy, I had to sneak one in because this reminded me that today kicks off early voting.
That's right. Everybody needs to get out and exercise your right to vote. You can start doing that today. And I also am thinking that civic trustee workshop, I wish I could attend it.
I think we can, though. It's free.
It's free. It's just every Monday.
Monday.
My boss might not. Well, I'll have to check.
You have to check. You have to make time for it.
That's right. Well, we're excited to have fall food trucks back. The Community Health Market trailer, the Houston Food Bank truck, is back at HCC for HCC students, faculty, and staff who can sign up for available slots. Just pick the campus, date, and time to pick up food from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. through October 27th. That's at multiple campuses, and we'll have more info in our post after the show to register.
All right, our Better Check Ormond auction, which is the fundraiser that raises money for our faculty. Prom night is around the corner, and the theme to this year's prom night, the auction will support worthwhile professional development opportunities for HCC faculty and is a fun evening of bidding on great items for a great cause to make sure our faculty are always up on the latest in their respective industries. The auction will be happening Friday, October 28th at our West Houston Institute. A link will be posted after the show.
And I hope you have your prom dress, Sade.
I do. The question is, does it fit? We may need a little remix.
So there's that can happen. So your Infinite Nature Sol Diaz exposition. This exposition of new painting and photo works by Houston-based artist Sol Diaz explores how the poetic relationship between nature and man is a source of regeneration and comfort. This is through December 9th. It's free at HCC Southeast, the East Side Wedge Space Arts Gallery. Registration is not required for this event. Everyone is welcome.
Yes. And Our annual compliance training reminder. HCC employees have just one more week to complete their required training for October. Check your emails, go out to the intranet on My HCC, and each of the required trainings takes about 30 minutes to complete. So go ahead and knock it out. Talking to myself. The topics for this required trainer are active shooter, first aid, and hazard communication in the office.
And shorter fall classes are still available. Second Start has begun, but students can still register for even more intensive sessions this month and even in November. So it's worth checking HCC's schedule with the same course options of online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid, in-person, and hybrid labs. So for registration to all HCC programs, go to hccs.edu/apply.
All right. Well, up next on Up to the Minute, looking ahead this week, tomorrow for Tasty Tuesday, we will welcome Southern Yankee Beer, which gets its acclaim as a gastropub, bringing elevated pub food to Montrose. And we'll have another student success story, a world languages graduate from the Weekend College who's continuing her education here at HCC in digital communications. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. We'll see you next time.